All right, for you that just joined us, I already told all my best jokes, so sorry. All right, so as we talked about earlier, I'm the world's biggest donkey hoarder with 3,200. Not by design. So we have an extensive donkey adoption program, and like I said, in West Texas, they don't like donkeys, so we don't place a lot of donkeys in West Texas. So years ago, I came up with this really cool idea of moving our donkeys around the country where they're more needed, where they're not as common. And the problem with that is in our system, our adoption system, boy, it's a weird picture. In our adoption, we own the donkey for life. So even if you take the donkey and adopt it and make it your own and love it and care for it, if you lose your job in your ranch, or if you get a transfer to the big city, or you retire and have to move into an old folks home, we don't want you to sell the donkey. We don't want you to have to worry about that. You call us, the donkey comes back to us, we'll find another home. Likewise, let's say the donkey gets sick and you can't afford those vet bills. We'll take the donkey back, we'll make that assessment, and we'll figure out if it's treatable or not. So to us, it's not a big deal. You can keep the donkey as long as you want, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure it comes back to us. So by moving our donkeys around the country, that was really difficult. I can't adopt a single donkey in Seattle, Washington, and then when they call, I've got to drive all the way to Seattle, Washington for a single donkey. So we established what we call the satellite adoption program. Get that in a minute. This terrible picture is of Whitney. Whitney is the one that ensures our donkeys are adoptable. And to be adoptable, they have to, number one, be friendly. They have to like people. Number two, they have to accept a halter. They have to somewhat lead. Donkeys don't lead unless they're well trained, like you would think a horse leads, a little different. But they have to at least somewhat lead, and they have to pick up their feet for a farrier. So we use a grading system, A through F, and she's in charge, but anybody that has free time goes out there, grabs an adoptable, and messes with it. And we do that also because donkeys can be very in tune to one person. I can work with a donkey, and that donkey will let me do anything I want. Somebody else comes along, donkey won't let them. So we try to get as many people touching the donkeys as possible. The satellite adoption program we came up with in 2005, I guess. And what it is people take our donkeys into their house. They put my sign in their front yard, my flag on their eave, and they are a part of my organization. They're not a chapter, they're not a subdivision, they are representative of us. They're all volunteers. Every one of those blue stars represents one of the locations, with Connecticut being our newest one we're going to open next month. And they take anywhere from 6 to 10 to 12, depending on the size and the volume they do, of our donkeys. They implement our rules, and it's been really successful. But that way, if we do have to take the donkey back for whatever reason, and I think in our career, we've only had to repost 6 donkeys because it didn't work out. It wasn't the proper home. So we're really good at screening and all that, but it's been just phenomenal. Way up there, I think we're 20 miles from the Canadian border. They adopt more donkeys than we can take them. We take them trailer at 20, and they got them adopted out before we can take them another 20. Eastern Seaboard, real popular. I've already got a trailer load that pretty much is already adopted in Connecticut before we ever get there. So in areas where they're not common, and so it's been really successful. Last year, we placed almost 500 donkeys through the system. So I was joking when I said I was a hoarder. I'm not. I really want to find 3,200 homes for my donkeys. But along that same line, we rescued last year, I think, 800 and some, and I only adopted out 500. So those numbers aren't, and we try to keep 1,000 donkeys at our main facility. Right now it's 1,200 because of those pesky miniatures. So what do we do with the rest? That leaves, my math's not great, but I'm thinking about 2,000 donkeys. So we put them on sanctuary. And this is, seldom in donkey rescue does luck fall on your side, but we had this terrible drought in Texas in 2011, lasted to about 2013. Everybody sold their cattle. Well, then it rained, and then the grass grew, and they didn't have any cattle, and cattle were so ridiculously expensive, they couldn't afford to buy in. So what happened? This crazy donkey guy is offering to pay you money to let his donkeys eat your grass. And that's exactly what we did. So we manage I should probably have looked to see because it changes, but it's over 20 different sanctuaries that vary in size from, I think the smallest one is 40 acres that we have, I think 10 donkeys on, and the biggest one is, well, it's 6 sections, and a section is 640 acres, so y'all do the math. It's a big damn place. We try not to put the donkeys on any more than, say, 640 acres at a time, because our donors were really weird when we suggested we want to do this. They had it in their head that we were going to release them and leave them and never look at them again. And that's not what we do. We've got one man who's dedicated to their care. He sees them at least 6 times a year minimum. He worms them, we trim them. They get the same care they get if they're at the ranch. The only difference is they get to wander around and be donkeys. As we go out, if he sees something that needs to be treated, he brings it back. If they come up and he can pet them, he brings them back, so we put them in the adoption program. But it's been really successful.
So previous to going out there, unadoptable?
Yes, exactly. Or wild, they're one of the wild burrow programs, especially the old BLM cell burrows. We have 2 leases that's nothing but former BLM half-blind cell burrows, and they love it. They don't know the difference. This particular one, I believe, is in Louisiana, and they're mixed in with some cows. This one is in West Texas. And you can see they all look good. Body weight's good. Coats are shiny. You can't really see their feet, but their feet are good. Here's Richard Bruner, our farrier again. This is actually one of his leases. And he goes out. He goes out and actually hand feeds them. And so we bring a lot of them out of there for adoption because he friendlies them up real well. But he'll actually go out and we do trims on these leases. If they don't have cattle pens themselves, we bought a portable corral system that we kind of had modified for us. It's like a long, skinny trailer, and it folds out, and we can put, I think we put like 600 donkeys in it if we had to. It's really cool. Really expensive, but really cool. Okay. 3,200 donkeys. From right here, I can tell you where any donkey came from and where it is right now. Any one. So, otherwise, we're calling them all Eeyore and describing them all as that gray donkey with the big ears, okay? So how do we do this? Well, it all starts on our website with the rescue case. People can go on here and they fill in this form. That drop down is everything from donkey's health, owner's finances, law enforcement, federal government, all these different categories. They fill all this in and it gets submitted to us online in the form of a program made by a company, Lightspoke, out of Seattle, Washington. This is a custom-made, internet-based data system that is tailored to us. So it kind of ties our website into this database that we can log into from anywhere. And it generates these handy-dandy little numbers over here on the left-hand side. And so you have abandoned stray, a lot of people that want to own or abandon, they always want to say, well, it's donkey's health. It's not my inability to take care of the donkey. Government astray, donkey's aggression, that was Humane Society of somewhere. But anyway, they come in and they tell us roughly how many donkeys we're talking about. Here's a good old owner finances. East Coast, 24 donkeys. We get these all the time. Most donkey rescue, and I won't say most, I don't think there's a single donkey rescue in the United States that could take 20 plus donkeys in one city. We could take 60. And we can do more if we make more in one trip. But anyway, so it all starts with this information. And then here's Izzy again. I used her as Izzy for those, this is our very first donkey that started this whole madness. But this is Izzy's what's called a donkey 360. And so when they come in, we talked about, we microchip them, all these things. Well, first thing we do is we put their rescue case number in this box right here. So if you were petting Izzy and you were to say, well, where did Izzy come from? And if I didn't know, or if the staff didn't know, they can actually look up this number and it'll give her complete background. And this is for every single donkey that has ever been through our system. And unfortunately, cut it off up here, or it's to show that I think we're close to our 8,000th microchip that we've used. But it just goes through. Microchip number, name if they have it, but typically, it's like the 200 minis we just brought in, they're all named Coleman. So I can type Coleman in the name box and it'll bring up the whole list of them. We sort by the last 3 avids because we buy them usually 100 to 200 at a time and we get a series. So every microchip in that box will start out 085. So we don't want to look for that number. So what we do is we sort by the last 3 and then that'll bring up usually less than 20 donkeys, 30 donkeys, which you can narrow the list down. Where it came from, she was actually bought by my wife, but we don't have a category for that. When she came in, color, sex, and if it's a jack and it comes in, jack goes here, and then when it gets gelded, we change that and put the castration date. And so that way we can look up by that to see how many castrations we do every year. Whether or not it's a BLM, and if we have the BLM actual number, so those cell burrows, their BLM number would be here, so they could be tracked. Where she came from, rescue case, and then we can add pictures. And again, I'm gonna stop breathing. Okay, here's the bottom of that same screen. Height and weight. And then this is her history on our ranch. She came into, back in 2000, in acting. And these codes you see here, they're not total gibberish. It's the state with the city that follows. And again, this is so in this database, I can do a search by Texas and know how many donkeys I have in the state of Texas, whether they're on a sanctuary, a satellite adoption center, or at our ranch. Or I can narrow it down by particular facility. So started out in Acton, California, moved to Tehachapi, California, moved to Miles, Texas, moved to Harriet, Texas. So that's her history, and this is for every donkey. So if it goes out to sanctuary, comes back, goes to a satellite, gets adopted, comes back in, goes to this cell, it all goes here. Gets adopted out, kills the family dog, has to come back, that goes here in the notes. And then we have another tab for medical case, which is only for if something happens to that donkey. We don't do shot and worming records. Everybody gets shot and wormed at the same time because I would have to hire somebody to update 3,200 individual donkey records, and I don't care. So this is only if an abscess, for instance. Some donkeys are very prone to abscess. So when we're loading it up and, oh, wow, this is its 3rd abscess, because there might have been 3 different people that treated that donkey, and we say, you know what, maybe we need to find another pin, another soil type to keep that donkey on. So very handy system. Nobody, to my knowledge, has anything even close. And then the other end of it, this is back to the website, donkeyadoption.org, and you fill this out, you read the terms and policies and conditions, and you hit submit, and that ties the end of that donkey story. So then this adopter is then that care record that I showed you where the donkey was, this goes to there. We always know where the donkey's at. When they call and say, we got to bring it back, no problem. We've already got your address, we'll be by. So it's really, really a cool program.